Picture this. You were rated 20% for a bad knee, and over the years you start limping more. Then your hip goes out. You never had hip problems in service, but now it hurts all the time. If that hip can be shown to be caused or made worse by the knee, it could be rated as secondary, and that changes everything. I'm Cameron Burrell, and in the next 10 minutes, I'll show you how to make that connection clear to a VA reviewer.
Here's my argument. Well-organized records plus a timely treating provider nexus opinion routinely move borderline secondary claims from denial to grant. Organization isn't busy work. It's the evidence pathway reviewers use.
Okay, let's start with plain language. Direct service connection means the condition started in or was caused by your time in service. Secondary service connection means a service-connected condition caused or made another condition worse. Aggravation, important word, is when the service-connected disability increases the severity of another condition beyond its natural course. You might ask, what does the VA actually want to see? Short answer, a medical nexus. That means a competent medical opinion or records that explain how one thing led to another. Dates, clinical reasoning, and documented changes in function matter more than dramatic language. Example 1. The orthopedic chain. Your service-connected knee changes how you walk. Over years, your hip starts hurting, and x-rays show early arthritis. If a provider ties the altered gait to accelerated hip degeneration, that hip can be secondary. Example 2. Downstream mental health. Chronic service-connected pain destroys sleep, reduces social activity, and eventually contributes to a depressive disorder. I've heard veterans tell me, the sleep went first, and then everything else fell apart. That timeline, sleep loss, isolation, mood changes, helps a reviewer see the causal chain.
Example 3. Medication side effects. Treatment for a service-connected condition can lead to tremors, balance problems, or other new symptoms. Document when the medication started, why it was used, and how new problems began.
So what actually helps when you file a secondary claim? Start with a treating provider nexus opinion, someone who sees you over time saying, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, that the second condition was caused or aggravated by the service-connected issue.
Why that matters. Examiners and reviewers need clinical reasoning. Dates, a mechanism like altered gait causing extra stress on the hip, and objective findings connect the dots. Without a medical explanation, lay statements alone often fall short.
Next, back it up with treatment records, notes that show when complaints started, how symptoms changed, imaging or test results, and any functional limitations documented over time. Add DBQs or specialist evaluations if possible, and include short lay statements from you, family members, or coworkers who observed symptom changes or functional impact. Each piece plays a different role. Together, they form a persuasive picture. A quick, concrete phrasing you can show a provider when asking for an opinion is helpful. Something like, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, the patient's altered gait related to a service-connected knee contributed to the development or aggravation of hip osteoarthritis. You're not scripting a diagnosis. You're showing the wording that addresses causation.
I know this feels bureaucratic. Too often I see strong stories scattered across folders and nothing tying them together. That's fixable with a little structure, and that structure is what reviewers actually use to make decisions.
Here's a simple filing system that works. Start with a one-page timeline, service dates, diagnosis dates, first complaints for the secondary issue, and key treatment dates. Then create labeled sections, service records, primary condition treatment, secondary condition treatment, provider nexus letters, tests/imaging, and lay statements.
Keep entries chronological and always show dates on documents. When drafting a lay statement, be concise. Where it started, how it changed, specific examples of limitations, and who else witnessed changes. Short, specific beats beat long, vague essays every time.
When you talk to your treating provider,
Give them the timeline and key records and ask whether they're willing to state whether the secondary condition is at least as likely as not related to the service-connected condition. Ask for the clinical reasoning, not just the conclusion. That reasoning is the power in the opinion.
At a C&P exam, be consistent with your records. Examiners look for objective findings and a documented history. Bring a copy of your timeline and keynotes if you can. Remember, treating providers who see you over time often provide stronger nexus support than a single exam when the question is causation.
Curious. A few misconceptions I want to clear up. 1. Natural progression isn't the same as aggravation. If a condition worsens because of age alone, that's different than worsening caused by your service-connected disability. 2. Don't assume medication side effects are automatically tied. Document timelines and provider rationale. 3. Effective dates for a granted secondary condition depend on when the evidence establishes the relationship, so dates matter. Again, organization plus a treating provider nexus is not paperwork busywork. It's the difference maker in secondary claims. Keep that line in mind as you assemble your materials.
Now, a short 1-week checklist you can complete right away. 1. Create that 1-page timeline. 2. Request copies of key treatment records for both the service-connected and the secondary conditions. 3. Draft a 2 to 3 paragraph lay statement describing onset and impact. 4. Talk to your treating provider and ask if they'll consider a nexus opinion and give them your timeline. 5. Contact a VA-accredited VSO or claims representative if the link is medically complex.
To recap, secondary service connection depends on a medical nexus plus organized evidence. Break your materials into dated folders, pair lay statements with provider opinions, and be deliberate about the language you request from clinicians. These steps turn scattered evidence into a clear narrative for reviewers.
Your one practical action item for this episode: create that 1-page timeline and save it as a document you can share with providers or a VSO. It'll make every follow-up step easier and help your case tell a single, clear story. Thank you for listening to the Veteran Benefits Reset podcast. If you found today's episode helpful, follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with another veteran who could benefit. Download your free 7-step Veteran Benefits Reset Guide at vetbizmedia.com/veteran7. And remember, your service did not expire. Your story is still worth reviewing. Take the next responsible step.